Have you ever wondered why you sometimes make decisions before you even realize you have made them? You wake up, reach for your phone, check the same apps, respond to the same people, and follow the same routines almost automatically. You may believe that you are consciously controlling every decision you make, but the human mind is far more complicated than that. Your brain is constantly processing information in the background. It is observing faces, remembering experiences, detecting patterns, predicting what might happen next, and influencing your behavior before your conscious mind has had time to analyze everything. This hidden process can affect the people you trust, the products you buy, the situations you avoid, and even the way you judge yourself. Think about the first time you meet someone. Within seconds, your brain may begin forming an impression of that person. You might decide that they seem confident, nervous, friendly, intelligent, or untrustworthy. You may not even know exactly why you feel that way. The fascinating part is that many of these judgments are influenced by previous experiences stored inside your memory. Your brain learns from the past and uses that information to interpret the present. This is extremely useful because it allows you to react quickly. Imagine having to consciously analyze every single sound, movement, facial expression, and environmental change around you. You would become mentally exhausted almost immediately. So your brain creates shortcuts. These shortcuts help you navigate the world faster, but they can also create mistakes. Sometimes your mind sees what it expects to see rather than what is actually happening. Sometimes you believe someone is judging you when they are not. Sometimes you assume you will fail before you even begin. And sometimes you repeat the same behavior simply because your brain has learned to associate it with a familiar reward. This is where psychology becomes fascinating. Your thoughts are not always random. Your habits are not always accidental. And your reactions may have deeper psychological causes than you realize. In this video, we are going to explore several hidden mechanisms that influence human behavior every single day. Once you understand them, you may start noticing them in yourself, in the people around you, and even in the decisions you make without thinking. Because the most powerful influence on your behavior may not be another person. It may be your own mind. The moment you meet someone for the first time, your brain begins making judgments. You may think you are simply looking at their face, listening to their voice, and having a normal conversation. But underneath that conscious interaction, your brain is rapidly collecting information. Their posture, their facial expression, the way they make eye contact, their tone of voice, their clothing, their movements. Even tiny changes in their expression can influence the impression your mind creates. And the strange part is that this process can happen incredibly quickly. Before you have enough information to truly understand a person, your brain may already have created an initial opinion about them. This is known as the first impression effect. Imagine walking into a room and meeting someone who smiles confidently, speaks calmly, and stands with an open posture. Your brain may interpret these signals as confidence, friendliness, or competence. Now imagine meeting someone who avoids eye contact, speaks quietly, and appears nervous. You might automatically interpret them as insecure, unfriendly, or uncomfortable. But here's the important question. What if your interpretation is completely wrong? The confident person might actually be extremely nervous but good at hiding it. The quiet person might be kind, intelligent, and simply uncomfortable in unfamiliar social situations. Your brain does not always wait for complete evidence. Instead, it tries to make a quick prediction. This ability developed because humans have always needed to make rapid decisions about other people and their environment. Is this person safe? Can I trust them? Should I approach them? Should I stay away? These questions could once have had serious consequences. Today, however, we use the same mental system in ordinary situations. We use it when meeting coworkers. We use it when watching someone speak on camera. We use it when judging a stranger in public. And we even use it when deciding whether someone is attractive, intelligent, successful, or trustworthy. But first impressions can become dangerous when we mistake assumptions for facts. Once your brain creates an initial opinion, you may unconsciously search for information that supports it. If you believe someone is arrogant, you may notice every moment they sound confident while ignoring the moments when they are genuinely helpful. If you believe someone is intelligent, you may interpret their mistakes more generously. Your brain begins protecting the story it has already created. This is one reason people can see the same person completely differently. One person sees confidence. Another sees arrogance. One sees shyness. Another sees weakness. The behavior may be exactly the same. The difference is the interpretation happening inside the observer's mind. Understanding this can change the way you interact with people. Your brain has a powerful habit that you probably use every single day without noticing. It looks for patterns. Humans are natural pattern detectors. When something happens repeatedly, your brain tries to connect the events together and create an explanation. This ability is extremely useful. It helps you learn. It helps you predict what might happen next. It helps you recognize familiar faces, understand language, navigate places, and solve problems. But there is another side to this ability. Sometimes your brain finds patterns even when the connection is weak or completely accidental. Imagine that you think about an old friend you have not spoken to for months. A few minutes later, that person suddenly sends you a message. You might immediately think, I knew something was going to happen, but your brain may simply be connecting two unrelated events because they happen close together. Or imagine you wear a particular shirt before an important event and everything goes perfectly. The next time something important happens, you may feel that wearing the same shirt will somehow bring good luck. Your brain has created an association. The shirt itself may have no special power, but your mind remembers the successful experience and connects the two events. This tendency can influence much more than lucky objects. It can affect relationships, decisions, fears, beliefs, and everyday habits. Suppose you have one bad experience with a particular type of person. Your brain may remember that experience and begin looking for similar characteristics in other people. Now, when you meet someone who reminds you of that person, your brain may immediately become cautious. You may not even understand why. Your mind is using an old pattern to predict a new situation. This is one reason our past experiences can influence our present behavior. Your brain is constantly asking, what does this remind me of? Have I seen something like this before? What happened last time? And most importantly, what should I expect now? These predictions help your brain operate efficiently. But predictions are not facts. A prediction can be wrong. And when you fail to recognize that, you can become trapped inside your own assumptions. This can happen in relationships too. Imagine someone does not reply to your message. Your brain may immediately begin creating explanations. Maybe they are angry. Maybe they are ignoring you. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe they no longer care. But the reality could be completely different. Their phone might be switched off. They might be busy. Sometimes the smallest thing can create a surprisingly strong emotional reaction. A particular song can suddenly bring back an old memory. A certain smell can remind you of a place from your childhood. A person's voice can make you feel comfortable. Another person's tone can instantly make you defensive. Why does this happen? Because your brain connects experiences with emotions. When something important happens, your mind does not simply store the event as information. It can also connect that event with feelings, sensations, sounds, images, and other details surrounding it. Later, when one of those details appears again, your brain may react as if the original experience is returning. This is what makes emotional triggers so powerful. Imagine someone receiving harsh criticism during an important moment in their life. Years later, they may receive a completely normal suggestion from another person. The suggestion itself may not be insulting at all. But if the tone or wording reminds their brain of that earlier experience, they may suddenly feel angry, embarrassed, or defensive. The present situation is different, but the emotional association can still influence the reaction. This happens because the brain is constantly trying to protect you. It learns from experiences. If something was associated with danger, rejection, embarrassment, or pain, your brain may become more alert when it encounters similar signals again. From a survival perspective, this makes sense. Your brain would rather warn you too early than too late. But in everyday life, this system can sometimes become overprotective. You might avoid a situation because it reminds you of something unpleasant. You might become nervous before an event even though nothing dangerous is happening. You might react strongly to a person's words because they accidentally touched an emotional trigger from your past. And sometimes you may not even know why you reacted so strongly. That is what makes emotional triggers difficult to recognize. The reaction can happen before conscious reasoning catches up. Your heart may beat faster. Your muscles may tense. Your mood may suddenly change. You may feel the urge to leave, argue, defend yourself, or shut down. Then your conscious mind starts searching for an explanation. This is why learning to pause can be so valuable. When you notice a powerful emotional reaction, instead of immediately acting on it, ask yourself a simple question. What exactly happened and what did my mind interpret it to mean? That question creates distance between the event and your reaction. Maybe someone criticized your work. That is the fact. But perhaps your mind interpreted the criticism as proof that you are not good enough. That is an interpretation. The difference matters. Have you ever noticed how one negative comment can stay in your mind for hours, while 10 compliments can disappear almost immediately? Someone can tell you that you did a great job. Another person can say something kind about your personality. Your friends can support you. Your family can appreciate you. But then one person makes a negative comment, and suddenly that is the only thing you keep thinking about. Why does the negative experience feel so powerful? One reason is that the human brain has a tendency to pay special attention to information that could represent danger, rejection, or failure. Your mind is constantly scanning the environment for things that might require a response. From an evolutionary perspective, noticing potential threats was extremely important. If your ancestors ignored a possible danger, the consequences could be serious. But noticing a pleasant event was not always as urgent. This means that our brains can sometimes give negative information more psychological weight than positive information. You might remember the one mistake you made during a presentation, but forget everything that went well. You might remember one embarrassing moment from years ago, while forgetting hundreds of ordinary days. You might replay a critical sentence in your head even after someone has given you genuine praise. The brain is not necessarily trying to make you unhappy. It is trying to learn. When something feels emotionally important, your brain may treat it as information worth remembering. The problem is that modern life contains many situations that are emotionally intense but not actually dangerous. A negative comment online can trigger the same attention system that once helped humans respond to real threats. A disappointing message can occupy your thoughts. A small mistake at work can feel enormous. One awkward conversation can replay in your mind again and again. And because the brain tends to focus attention on emotionally significant information, you may begin building a story around that experience. You may start thinking, what if everyone noticed? What if they think badly of me? What if I always make mistakes? Notice what happens here. One event becomes a conclusion about your entire identity. But one mistake does not define you. One criticism does not describe your entire personality. One rejection does not determine your future. Your brain may highlight the negative event because it feels important, but that does not mean it deserves unlimited attention. This is why it is useful to deliberately notice positive experiences too. When something goes well, allow yourself to actually register it. When someone appreciates your work, don't immediately dismiss the compliment. When you make progress, recognize it. When you handle a difficult situation better than you did before, remember that too. You're teaching your attention where to look,